Finish my coffee. Being in Sync 366 video series where I come every day to share some new perspective on a topic that could help you in your alignment to your inner congruent. So you go from incongruent to congruent and your life shall change. Today I want to talk about a topic that is very common in the spiritual communities, but not so much out in the public, although it is becoming more mainstream because we are having what's called a global awakening events. Now, some people have had their own inner awakenings, and an awakening is really an unfolding of what you thought was true. It's basically undoing the lies. You thought this was true, and then all of a sudden you came to know something else was true. And awakening just is really a realignment to the truth of who you are, what you are, and how you are moving forward. A global awakening is that there's going to be masses of people who are going to be going through this unfolding at the same time. Now, some of you maybe already have started, meaning that you were told a particular lie. Maybe it was a lie within the family. Maybe it was a lie from what you saw at work or how you thought things worked, to knowing, oh, that's not really the truth of what is happening here. The truth is, and you find a new truth, and then you realign. So when there's a global awakening, that means there's going to be an unfolding that can be quite painful, both for you and for your family, and it might lead to a lot of chaos. But what I wanted to remind you all about is that you have a choice in every moment with every new awareness that you have. You can choose to constrict, or you can choose to expand. And oftentimes when things are painful and you're trying to process them intellectually, you know, a lot of what is going to be happening on our planet is going to be beyond the intellect, okay? It's going to blow your mind. It's going to be worse than you could have ever imagined. Just think of how things have unfolded, and things can be just catastrophically worse than you could have ever imagined. And even in those moments, you have a choice to dive into the drama and feel constricted and confused and bewildered of how could this have happened, and why didn't we know this, and you could go into all of the questions of why, but unless those whys are leading you within yourself, ask a higher quality question. You know, because the global awakening is really about you being on a spiritual journey. So many people have lost track of their spiritual connection to their soul and their access to higher consciousness because they've been so busy thinking. You know, higher consciousness does not occur within the mind. Higher consciousness isn't even within the physical body. It's an access point that happens from within yourself to higher levels of consciousness when you are in expansion. So it's not a thinking thing. You can't just go like this and say, I want to awaken and see the truth. You know, the truth for many people will come in small doses. And even those will be very difficult for people to understand, because it will cause some real discord within you about what you thought and what you are now hearing, and there's going to be this disconnect. There's going to be a lot of discord and a lot of chaos. So the more grounded you are within yourself, the more connected you are within yourself, and understanding that there is a war going on and it's on the spiritual realm, when you start to understand that spiritual realm has been confiscated for many people and convoluted. And I'm going to give you a very explicit example of how things are not what you think they are. They're not even what you see. And so something may appear as, let's just say, religious, or let's just say godlike. And I'm using this from an example a client brought to me the other day, that you might think that this is a religious movie. You don't know how the information has been manipulated to make you feel a particular way, to make you see things a particular way. And it might also be a demonic movie positioned as Christ, or a Jesus movie, or however you want to look at it. And so when you have an understanding that what they were showing you as religion and Jesus was really filled with demonic energies, and it was taking you down a descending spiral, meaning my client, they didn't feel good when they were watching this particular movie. They didn't think it was that powerful. And then they started to describe these things that were happening in these movies, and they said, and Jesus killed all these demonic energies. It doesn't work like that. Jesus does not assault demonic energies. That is not how energies work. So it's really about waking up to your inner knowing and the truth that you have within yourself, to see that this is incongruent. What they're showing me, this movie, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't resonate. It actually doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel fear. Oh, that must mean I need to turn it off. That must mean it doesn't resonate. If you think that you can watch and be around demonic energies and watch demonic shows and not be impacted, you would be incorrect. Because things are happening at a level that you cannot always see. So that's why you want to feel. You want to feel and use your body as your tool to sense what is in alignment, what resonates, what is true for you. Now know that your truth will change as your expansion into higher consciousness shifts. Your access to new information will also shift. So be okay with being uncomfortable with new information. So you want to see information, situations, events from a place of what's called neutrality. So when you are neutral, that means you're not positive and you're not negative, but you're not either one of those. But you can have opinion that's, I don't prefer this, and not go into the positive or the negative. That's neutrality. You want to be in a space of neutrality when you're going through this process of awakening. Awakening will shift your perceptions. But if you watch this video and you have a knowing something is amiss here, don't be afraid. Listen. Don't allow your fear to dictate things. Listen. Oh, I wonder what's happening here. And you go into inquiry within yourself so you could feel if this is accurate or not, or maybe I need to shift, or maybe I need to see more information, and you align from that space. Rose says, asking, is it intuition or the sixth sense? Intuition and sense, that's a really good question. I think I might have to come back to you to give you more distinctiveness on this, but sensing is just that. It's an acknowledgement of what is, okay? And intuition is an an inkling or sensing of a future experience and or timeline or event. I hope that helps. So sensing, really, there's no judgment whatsoever. Intuition, oftentimes people use their intuition and go straight up into the mind, and they use their intuition to make decisions. If you are using your intuition and it's just acceptance, meaning you're neutral to what your intuition is telling you, then they're almost on par. So it just really depends on the use of your intuition and whether that is the same as the sense. And I don't say sixth sense, I just say senses, because we're feeling, sensing human beings, and those are our senses are part of our superpowers. And a lot of those have been turned off for people for lots of reasons, but one of the primary reasons those get turned off is most people don't even know what to do with the information when they get it. So they are not aware of, well, if I'm having this intuition, am I supposed to do something with it? And I think the doing is where people get really stuck in not following, because they go from their sense, like I'll just use my client as the other day as an example. They had a sense about something, and they didn't follow it, and then they got spiraled down. So they got sucked into the system, also a matrix of fear, and then they really had a hard time discerning, well, what do I do with this? And they just went straight into fear. And when you're in fear, it's very difficult to discern the information that you're getting. When you are in a neutral place, so the first thing I do with my clients is I get them neutral, so they're not in judgment about whatever it is that they're seeing or experiencing. In this case, it was some demonic energies, because demonic energies are just misled energetics. That's it. So you don't need to be afraid of them. What you do need to do is to understand that your field is accessible to other energies when you don't know how to manage it. So you want to practice energetic hygiene. I hope that helped you, Rosa. So like your body, you want to be in pure connection to your body. Your body is a tool. It's a tool for you to sense, to feel, to process. The mind isn't a place to process. The body processes, the heart processes, the body, the chakras, the systems process, the meridians, they process. The mind does not process. The mind only thinks. So when people say they're processing, to me, they're thinking. Most people are not using or even connected to their body and their feeling and sensing aspects. So is that helpful, Rosa? Do you have questions about that? The global awakening is, COVID was a global awakening. It was an event that impacted the entire world all at once. And the governments colluded together. They communicated together to do things with people. That's an awakening event. And, for me, it was different than for other people, because I work out of the house. I've owned my own company for, 20 plus years. And so, being at home was a familiar experience for me. But for many people who have lived their life in avoidance of their partner, lived their life in avoidance of their children, lived their life in denial, COVID was like they had to face those things that they didn't want to see or feel. And they were stuck at home with their partners. Oh, good. I'm so glad, Rosa. Thank you for letting me know. So people, COVID was an awakening to people of themselves. And a lot of people use their conscious choice to go within. They learned meditation, they learned breathing, they started eating better, they started exercising, and so they started getting more in tune with themselves, where they had been disconnected prior to that experience. They got more in tune. Other people went really straight into fear, and they made decisions based on fear. And decisions based on fear will lead you into more chaos, almost universally, always. So you want to really get to a space of neutrality. And one thing I'll say about intuition and sensing is that learning how to access that neutral space within yourself and stay there. Stay there every day, all day. Like that's where you want to make your home, in a space of neutrality. That will help you in processing. That will help you gain greater connection within your body, because then you're not afraid of what your body's telling you anymore. Your body is always talking to you. And, you know, a lot of people ignore the body. They ignore the aches and pains. They ignore the lessons, and, you know, and they miss opportunities, and then they end up getting sick. You know, I've known many people that are disconnected from their body. And I think the global awakening is really about understanding that your body is the temple to your spiritual body, and to be in connection with your spirit and reconnect with your soul. And a lot of people are really wondering what their purpose is, and they're wondering what their purpose is because they're disconnected from their soul. And they're just into doing and survival mode, and I gotta get out of this crisis, and they go into another crisis. I mean, how many people do you know that repeat the pattern of crisis? They go from one crisis to another, and it's the pattern. When you're in disconnection from the soul, that's what happens, is we lose access to understanding the patterns in which we are being directed. And so we go off of our thinking mind of what we think is the best decision, and then we go down rabbit holes one after another after another. So the global awakening is really about us waking up to that everybody has a soul. So we've been told, right? But we do know that there are some people that are walking around that I call them the walking dead, you know, where they have been taken over. They've been taken over by other energies. We won't go into what those energies are because it doesn't even matter. What matters is if you're not in connection to it, you're not claiming it. And if you're not claiming it, it means you can go into an agreement with another person who you think is normal, and then they have access to your body and your souls and your light body. And if you've gone into agreement with it, unbeknownst to you, you could lose access to your own personal consciousness. And that's a very dangerous thing. Now, when they're talking about, the shooters, not just this shooter for Trump, but the shooter for, Lee Harvey Oswald and all these people, they're talking about these people being out of their mind. Why are they talking about them being out of their mind? Because they're not in connection. And when you're not in connection to your soul, your mind can be overtaken and overridden. Don't let your ego fool you. Your ego will completely leave you vulnerable to energies that are very complicated and challenging to unhook from. So there are mind control programs out there that I don't really think it's in my best interest to go into, but just know that these things are influencing every human on the planet that is in disconnection, meaning anybody that is not connected to their spirit and their soul, that they are not having any relationship with their inner connections to their heart, and their heart to God, source energy, creator. I use all those as one and the same. Whatever it is for you, there's no judgment here. It's just that you must get in connection, and that does not mean go to church. That means go within, get into connection within your heart, because the heart is what will transmute your fear. The heart is what will change your perceptions. The heart is what will make it easier for you to see more clearly and to understand that, it is very painful to see truths that we thought didn't exist, and all of a sudden they're right in front of us, and we're like, wow. I didn't know that. And I thought I knew. And then, so now you have to learn again. And so you learn from an expanded state of connection to the frequency of truth. So I hope this topic was helpful in what the global awakening is really about and what it means for everybody. It means that a lot of your family members are going to go through some major traumas and turmoil, and your job is not to change that. Your job is to be in connection, to be honest, to be truthful, to be kind, to be loving, to honor the other person through compassionate witnessing. That's the job. That's the job. We are not to change it. We can't change it except through our own conscious awareness and our own connection. That's how we change collective consciousness, through our own connection. That's how it all changes. And we're all doing it together. So, you know, your brother's suffering is your suffering. Your sister's suffering is your suffering. And that's how we heal. Okay, I hope you found this helpful. Any questions? If so, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I'll jump off here. Rosa? Oliver? No? I'll just share, like when I was in college, I knew that I was going to be helping others through this period of time that we're in right now. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew that I was already preparing, 30 years ago for these moments that we're in right now. The time that we're in right now is what I've been preparing for over 30 years, to help others process through their fears, their beliefs, their disconnection, so they can get reconnected to the truth of who they are. This is what I spent my whole life preparing for, and I didn't even know what it was. I just knew that this is what was coming, this global awakening, and I didn't even know those were the words that it was going to be. So we're all in this together. I wish you well. Have a great day. How can people find more information to connect with me? At Kiana.com. And I'll put the link in the description. Thank you for being here, Oliver, Rosa, and everybody else who's chimed in and dropped off and came in back in. Thank you for being here. I'm Kiana Sage, and I guide people to peace. Have a great day. Namaste.